To guard against both real and imagined threats, the most protected presidents in the world have rather elaborate structures in place to ensure their protection. Keep in mind that these structures are not controlled by the presidents themselves, they special security units that are woven into the security architecture of their countries, and paid for by the taxpayers. These structures are loyal to the office of the president, and not to the president himself. That means the president does not get to handpick his security team, they are selected for him, and even when that president leaves office, the unit continues to serve the country by protecting the president. In truth, leaders need to be protected because if a president is not assured of his protection, he cannot work in the best interest of his country without fear or favor. Here are the top 10 most guarded presidents of the world 2023. Number 10 is Paul Biya. Paul Biya is the president of Cameroon in Central Africa, but he is one of the most protected persons in the world. This probably comes from paranoia because he has sat on the throne for nearly 40 years, and the country is troubled as calls for his removal grow louder. He is completely surrounded by giants whenever he makes public appearances, and even when he makes state visits abroad. He is driven around in an armored Range Rover Sentinel, and his motorcade can stretch up to 20 vehicles. Number 9. Emperor of Japan. The Emperor of Japan is completely shielded from scrutiny. He is almost a mythical figure whose voice is seldom heard. But he is one of the most protected persons in the world. The Imperial Guard is actually made up of two different organizations which are tasked with protecting the emperor and his family. The Imperial Guard is an almost independent arm of the Japanese army, and they are trained in hand-to-hand combat, in use of weapons, and in swordcraft. Swordcraft is an old and cultural practice in Japan, and it is one thing that it would be difficult to beat the Japanese at. Number 8. Mohammed bin Salman is the Prime Minister and Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. He is the de facto ruler of the country, and the second most important person in the country. The country's foreign policy is going to be dictated by him going forward, and as such he is going to have many friends and enemies. It is for fear of the latter that he has built one of the strongest personal security structures around himself. 7th is King of Bahrain. Interesting that the King of Bahrain should have such fearsome security attached to his person, considering the fact that Bahrain is not such an important country. Whatever the case may be, the King of Bahrain is one of the most protected leaders in the world. Most other world leaders leave their rocket launchers outside whenever they are having summits or meetings, but he brings his rocket launcher, as well as automatic rifles with him right into the conference hall. The weapons are in the body of his personal protection robot which follows him wherever he goes. The robot has a 360-degree field of vision, heat sensors, facial recognition software, and speaks several languages. It has assault rifles, as well as rocket launchers. Number 6. Recently crowned King Charles of England is the most important figure in his country. His security detail is not recently established, however. The King's Guards, as they are known, are famous throughout the world for their red uniforms, black helmets, and identical marching styles. They are also known to stand guard in front of the palace. They stand perfectly still regardless of the distractions. However, the rifles in their hands are not fashion items, they are highly trained soldiers. His Majesty's Special Protection Squad is another less seen elite force which was established in 1983. To crown it all, there is the SAS to provide backup whenever needed. 5th. Pope Francis is the leader of the Holy See, which makes him the leader of a country. However, as Pope of the Catholic Church, his domain is not just that small piece of land. He is the leader of over 1 billion people who are located in every country in the world. Such an important personality should not be left without protection. Pope Francis is guarded by the Swiss Guard, an elite guard force that was established some 500 years ago. They are drafted from the Swiss army, and highly trained. Despite the fact that they brandish swords, they have some sophisticated weapons at their disposal. The Pope is always driven around in a transparent glass box, but it is as hard as steel, and can withstand gunfire and bombs. Number 4. Xi Jinping is the paramount leader of China. He is one of the most powerful men in the world, and the most important person in his country. Interestingly, reports indicate that he has survived 6 assassination attempts, and as such he should be foreign for being somewhat paranoid about his safety. He is rightly one of the most protected presidents in the world, with a motorcade that includes armored cars, buses, and vans. The Chinese leader himself is cocooned in a Hongqi N701, which is regarded as the Rolls-Royce of China. The car is armored, and made locally in China, obviously to keep its capabilities hidden. No doubt it has a defense system and comms to call in support, which by the way is not far away. The Chinese have never been known to be mediocre, and the fact that he has survived so many assassination attempts shows that they are efficient. The President of America has always been one of the most important world leaders, and as such one of the most protected persons on earth. Joe Biden is no different from his predecessors. He enjoys the protection of the Secret Service, which is the security force charged with protecting the presidents and their families. Joe Biden drives around in a car codenamed the Beast. It is made by Cadillac, and aptly named because its hide is extra thick, capable of resisting gunfire, as well as bombs. The car has inbuilt defense systems and communications to call in support. Furthermore, his immediate predecessor increased the spending on the president's security by quite a substantial figure, which means Joe Biden can probably afford a more robust security detail. He also moves in a motorcade, and even when the car is going solo, it is completely surrounded by Secret Service agents. Second is Kim Jong-un, Supreme Leader of North Korea, is one of the most protected persons in the world. He moves with highly trained bodyguards numbering some 12 individuals. In truth, he is not the only world leader to have so many bodies around him, but while other world leaders often leave off with the extra security detail at international summits, Kim Jong-un's bodyguards caused a spectacle as they were seen racing beside his car at a recent summit. The car itself is a heavily armored Mercedes-Benz S600, which is effectively a tank. The vehicle has 2 engines, and is equipped with various defense systems including rockets. The car has various communication systems to ensure that it can call for reinforcements if they should ever be needed. Kim Jong-un does not travel alone. His motorcade can reach 10 vehicles, and even when he steps down from the vehicle he is completely surrounded by bodyguards such that one cannot even get a picture of him. The man even travels with his own toilets whenever he leaves the country. And finally, number 1. Vladimir Putin is certainly the most protected world leader. He drives around in a presidential limo, more like a Rolls-Royce, that is built like a tank. The car has a hybrid engine, and also has its own oxygen and assault rifles. The car has its oxygen because poison in the air is a potential threat to the president's life, and in the event that the president comes under attack, the air could be polluted with smoke from gunfire or from bombs. President Putin's car can withstand both gunfire and bombs. It is built like a tank, and can sit like a bunker until reinforcements arrive. Reinforcements are always nearby. Vladimir Putin moves with a retinue of agents that surround his car as it moves, and he always moves with a motorcade of some 10 vehicles. The Presidential Security Service is a force numbering about 7,000 highly trained officers, with a special unit called the Psychological Defense Unit, whose job is to analyze intelligence about threats to the president's life.